Hey everybody, hi, hello, hi. Welcome to another glorious episode of Jeff Has Cool Friends. My name is Jeff May, and I don't know if you know this or not, but I have cool friends. That's why we have the show. This is my long form interview show, and I appreciate you all for being here. I am so excited. I have another frequently requested guest, somebody that people have been chomping at the bit to listen to get on the show, and we also happen to play softball together. So how exciting is that? Let's give it up for comedian, host, actor, personality, and all-around GGTK, Matt Lieb. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me, and to all of the people frequently requesting me. Is that real, or is that something you say with every guest?
No, that's real. I wouldn't tell somebody, because sometimes it's people that they wouldn't know that I know.
Yeah, that's true.
If I went to like an obscure comic artist and was like, people are asking for it.
Oh, yeah,
they'd be
that's
like,
a good point.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
A lot of times you got to remember that my fan base is usually like, you can look at like where the offshoots are, and it actually, we met on Unpopular Opinion,
right,
on the Unpops podcast, and then all of a sudden, like, we met and then just started seeing each other everywhere. Yeah. And we'd always been in the same area, essentially.
Well, like same geographic area, but also like a little bit the same, I don't know, like career spaces, like, know, kind of like we both podcast, we're both stand-ups, and we both, like talk about pop culture, like comic books and
It's so funny because I started running into you after that first time we met on Unpops.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, this guy's everywhere. It's like when you need a mattress and all of a sudden you start seeing mattress ads everywhere.
Yeah.
You're like, it's like my phone was listening to me have a conversation with you on air. And then it's like, and now we're just going to put Matt Lieb as
we're just
sponsored
put
content
everywhere
in your life.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to show up randomly at your kids' birthday parties and, just while you're taking a shit somewhere in a theme park. I'm like, hey, you here too?
That's the weird part, is when you show up while I'm taking a shit at a theme park.
Yeah, I mean, that was like only a couple times, but
and you're so tall that you just peek over.
Yeah. I like to peek over every stall just to see like how it's going for everyone.
I would like to add, you are taller than me, which is very, very satisfying for me.
Oh, that's good.
Because that means no. Oh God, no. Because it means if goes down, people look at you first.
That's true.
In public.
I'm a lightning rod.
And not me.
Yeah.
And that's nice. That gives me a couple extra seconds to get away.
Well, you don't need to get away. You're strong.
I'm a coward. I'm a massive coward.
Well, we're all cowards, but what I'm saying is at some point you have to fight, like you're cornered by the hooligans. And they're like, put up your dukes. And you're like, if I have to, and then John Wick style, you kick four of their ass. Or that other one, Jack Reacher.
The trick to avoid a fight in a situation like that is to apologize to the person for what you're about to do to them.
Yeah, that's bad. Yeah,
that's one of the things that really
this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you, and then
absolutely,
and then you just get your ass kicked.
But yes, to some sort of circle back to the original question, yes, you are frequently requested. You have been requested more than once by more than one person.
That's really
saying
nice.
that they love that they listen to your shows, etc. Because you have two podcasts right now that you co-host with the very talented Vince Mancini.
Yes.
You do Frotcast, as well as Pod Yourself a Gun, the preeminent or the premier Sopranos podcast.
That's recently. Right. The only big Sopranos podcast out there. There are no other famous Sopranos podcasts. Not even the one with Michael Imperioli and Steve Schirripa. That's not real. That is an illusion. A lot of people think, oh, that's a podcast about the Sopranos. No, it's not. So don't listen to that. It'll give you a virus if you click on it in the, what do you call it, store? The podcast
at the
store.
The podcast factory.
At the podcast factory, it'll give you a podcast virus. So you got to go to Pod Yourself a Gun and listen to that instead. But
you go to, make sure you listen to Pod Yourself a Gun at ChristopherImperioli.com. You're like, we bought the website.
Yeah.
You snuck it.
Yeah,
You snuck it on me.
Promo code I didn't. That's when it's a very specific scene in The Sopranos. Anyways, yeah.
You have such a, we do have a lot of crossing over paths where it comes out that, like, for example, you were actually a correspondent and host for the Star Wars show.
Yes.
And I noticed that in the in sort of the description of who you are in the Star Wars show, they call you correspondent, but also hardcore Star Wars collector.
What
was that a role you played, or is that a thing you are?
Oh no, that is a role that I played. I don't even remember that. Was that on like a Chiron somewhere, like Matt Lieb, Star Wars collector?
It's on your IMDb.
Oh man.
yeah. It's your IMDb, but it might just be, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is either a role he played making fun of hardcore Star Wars collectors on the Star Wars show, which is an official show.
Oh yeah, it's a real show. It is a Lucasfilm production. I've been doing that for like, God, I don't even know what time is anymore. It's like I did like 5 years. I haven't done it in a while. I think the last time was sometime in 2020. We did a few episodes, and then it became like a monthly show, but it's an online StarWars.com show, YouTube show. I am not a Star Wars collector. I'm not really even a huge Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I've seen all the movies.
You're a person.
I'm a person who lives in 2021. I understand pop culture and what movies you need to see. I got that job because one of the hosts, Andy, who is it was like not a roommate. She lived in the same apartment complex, or no, her boyfriend did. Her now husband did, and she knew I was a comedian, and she was like, "Hey, I work at StarWars.com. We're doing this show. Would you like to like audition for it?" And I came in, and then I think I was auditioning to be her co-host. And the audition went really well, except for I don't know anything about Star Wars. Like, I know the names of the movies. I know like the names of some of the guys in the movies, some of the aliens. I know a couple of those names. A handful of the planets. I know those. But people who work at Lucasfilm are like people who really, really like Star Wars. And I wasn't one of them, but I think I was just having a really good time not knowing about Star Wars, that they were like, you're good. Well, we'll hire you as a correspondent.
Yeah, it is funny because, a lot of, it's one of the things I've noticed is that a lot of women in the nerd sector get accused of being the quote fake geek girl.
Oh, totally. Yes.
On there and not knowing it. And it's so funny that nobody's ever really called you out.
No one has.
For that.
Literally the only person who has is the crew. Whenever we're on like a remote somewhere, I'll be like at Comic-Con interviewing someone and not knowing, I'm like, oh, which Star Wars character are you? And they're like, Ahsoka.
Ashley Eckstein, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, oh, cool. What does she do? and then like have a fun interview with that. And then one of the people in the crew was like, how did you get this job? And I was like, I don't know, dude. You just you show up to auditions and then they say yes.
What's funny is I never have a who books that moment, except when I saw you on that show and I was just like, I want that job so bad.
Yeah.
Because I am.
I know you are that.
The like massive, like almost like to a problem,
right?
Star Wars fan. Although I don't describe to no Star Wars movie to me is like bad because I don't care that much about like a story. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
like this is just, it's more of a pathology for me.
Yeah,
like I'm like addicted to Star Wars more than I am a fan of it.
Yeah, you got a chemical dependency on lore. And the more lore you get, the more hooked you get on Star Wars.
I'm addicted to remembering my childhood.
Yes.
That's what it really comes down to. But I did find that very funny that, like, anytime a woman does anything on a video in the nerd sector, always get these dudes that are like fake, you're not real. And then you're just like on like an official Lucasfilm thing being like, I got no clue what's going on here. Let's go. And people are like, I fucking love this guy.
Yeah. And Andy got so much like, she has been working with StarWars.com for years, like years before the Star Wars show, and has been working on all sorts of different productions with them. And she would just tell me about all the like horrific, terrible people that there were online who were just like, creating entire threads on like Reddit and stuff, just like, talking shit about her, talking shit about like, the Disney acquisition of, the Star Wars franchise and all that. And like trying to piece together clues based on like them doing a scene at her desk at Lucasfilm and seeing that like there was like, I don't know, anti-Luke Skywalker propaganda or something next to her desk. It was just a picture of like Luke looking, it was like a meme or something. And they're like, see, they hate Luke over at the new Lucasfilm, and Andy, like basically creating conspiracy theories involving Andy. And meanwhile, I'm working at the show. I don't know anything about Star Wars, and no one has questioned me once. And I think
it's so funny that you're just like collecting a check while somebody else is jumping on the grenade, and you're just sitting there like taking the money and running. And I love that. I love it. I genuinely love that. That's so funny.
I mean, Andy's laughing all the way to the bank. Andy and Scott Bromley, the creator of the show, they got an Emmy for that show. They have a physical Emmy. They won an Emmy. They got, which for me, I'm like, that's cool because that means I'm on an Emmy-winning
show,
like internet show. But I don't get the Emmy. They don't give it to the correspondent. I'm just some guy.
You should ask for custody of the Emmy.
I listen, every time I go to Lucasfilm in San Francisco, I walk by that Emmy and I'm like, you don't even need it. It's just sitting in an office. Can I have it? And they won't let me have it.
How often do you make it to Lucasfilm in San Francisco?
The last time I was actually in the office was right before the lockdown in 2020. It was March 2020.
Oh wow, you did that, huh?
Yeah, I went there and I was just like, we recorded something about me eating Star Wars pancakes. And then the next day, the entire world shut down. And I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to be a bad virus.
Yeah, right. Did you get, did Lucasfilm or Disney, did they give you like the memo about Baby Yoda that you can't call him Baby Yoda?
Oh, I'm a contractor, so they don't give me anything.
Same, but I got from Sideshow, my old gig.
Yeah.
They were like, you cannot call him Baby Yoda.
Oh, wow.
At all. They were like, you can call him the child or the asset, and then afterwards it was Grogu. Like those were the only things we were allowed to call him.
Well, that's so weird. Like,
yeah, they're protective of their licenses. I get it. Like they're like, we don't want you to this up.
Well, I know, but it's like, I mean, obviously you cannot create like a toy that says Baby Yoda on it. I mean, I get that, but it's like, what, like, don't say it in tweets? Don't do podcasts where you call it Baby Yoda?
I mean,
like, cause
look, man, I'm not gonna pretend I didn't lose that job because of tweets. And like sort of with the idea of them saying, you can't have our name in your bio when you're saying XYZ thing.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I guess maybe, but I think they were very specific about like on camera.
There's a lot of on-camera rules. Yes, that's true.
But that's also because it has to do with licensing,
right?
And like they're like, we're not going to screw up a millions of dollars in products licensing just because some idiot in a hat said Baby Yoda,
Yeah, and like they're a target for like lawsuits and stuff. So like there was always things that. So much stuff that had to be cut because I only speak in non-licensed IP. So, people would be like, well, you literally cannot sing this song while you're doing this, bit. And I'm just like, oh, it's not like I'm just singing a melody. And they're like, they'll sue. And so,
Yeah,
you know,
they
there's a lot of
absolutely
rules.
will.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Disney is not, they're not somebody that people won't go after.
No, it's the first. Exactly. That's and when I was like told that, I was like, actually, that makes total sense. If I had an opportunity, like even a flimsy but legitimate claim to be like litigious against Disney, like, yeah, why not? I mean, you know,
I would sue
Yeah.
I would sue anybody with more money than me.
Yeah, exactly. Even just like $10 more.
Oh yeah, somebody that's just doing slightly better than me in their career.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're done.
Exactly.
You're done.
Yeah. You just
Give me that. Give me what you have.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have stepped on my foot.
Yeah. I don't sue. What I do for people who are doing slightly better than me is I mute them on Twitter. That's all you got to do. It makes you feel better. Have you ever done it?
Me? No, I'll just no, I guess I should mute more people.
Oh, it's really I've like I don't know. I've curated my Twitter experience to be mostly just me and my like favorite posters and my favorite comedians who use Twitter to make jokes and stuff. But there's always like, I would say 50% of comedians and people on Twitter are there to brag about whatever job they got. And it's not that I don't hold it against them for having the job, but it like, you know, the way social media works is it affects you emotionally when you're just like, oh, I wish I had that. And so if you're a repeat offender, if you're someone who only brags about all the cool things that are happening in your life, I'm like, I'm not on Twitter for this.
Honest question.
Yeah.
And I want this answered honestly.
I
and
will.
I don't care about the answer, whether it's either way or not. Have you muted me on Twitter?
I have not muted you on Twitter.
Yet.
No, I've never muted you on Twitter. You're not someone
Okay.
I've ever muted. Usually, for me, a mute really has to do, and this is not at all. This is not me saying anything about your career.
It's a success thing. Okay.
It's not a success thing. It's a bragging thing. If you use Twitter to brag over and over again, if you use any social media where like your favorite thing to do is like picture of you, you know, at a commercial shoot and go hashtag, you know, set life or whatever, you know, picture of you at I don't know, like a hotel that you're like, oh, I'm just here in town to do some general meetings. And it's like, you're tweeting about a general right now? Like,
yeah. I get that.
You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be proud of it. And I'm not saying that I'm not, for some of them, not actively rooting for you. But you have to, for me, Twitter is about like taking a Sopranos meme and then making it a little bit different than the last Sopranos meme and then posting it, you know?
So here's what I'll say. Maybe this is what saved me, is that every time I ever talk about work, I'm embarrassed by it. Like I'm ashamed of the fact that I am working.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, hey guys, I did another podcast this week. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. Jeff Has Cool Friends is out on the Patreon. Can you please
forgive me?
Just like, I'm so sorry. I know that you guys don't, like, you want me to make a joke instead of that, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is Tuesday morning.
I know.
And I'm so like, that's how genuinely how I feel.
Oh, I know. That's exactly how I feel too. There's nothing that makes me feel more like about myself than promoting the last thing that I did, or like a show that I have coming up. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be in downtown LA tomorrow. You don't have to come, but if you could, it would be helpful.
I also love when you like, you'll do a stupid joke and it's like, 200 likes or whatever.
Right.
And then you're like, hey, here's this thing I worked super hard on. It's
please.
Like 8 likes. And you're like, what do you people want from this? Is free. This website is free. It would have cost you nothing to click like on that.
Yeah. And it would have made me feel good. Yeah. And I swear it's like algorithmically, it is, if you put a link down in your tweet, you know, somewhere, they Twitter is like, F you, don't leave Twitter. And so you don't get to you don't get the all the eyeballs that you rightly deserve, because your content is great.
That's how they get you. Speaking of songs, I want to talk to you a little bit about Pod Yourself a Gun.
Okay.
Because not only are you in what we can say is arguably the best Sopranos podcast,
easily the best and most famous,
cited in New York Times
That's true.
not so subtle way of them calling you a hipster
I know.
Sopranos podcast.
Yeah. They were like, it was. This is a pod. Why are young people into The Sopranos? There's all these leftist podcasts, including this one, Pod Yourself a Gun, that has all these Brooklyn lefties on it. The part of like the expanded Brooklyn, multiverse or whatever. And I was just like, I'll take it. It's a compliment.
Yeah, as long as the New York Times mentions your podcast,
I know.
Who cares what it says?
I was so stoked. That was
like, you're not going to get less listeners from that, even if they're like, and they killed a baby on the show, and they'd be like, 7 people are going to want to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the show is it's actually not necessarily dissimilar to Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, which I do with Tom Ryman, where we watch any stuff that's Batman related and we sort of talk about it in the comedy sort of fashion.
Right.
But you do something very interesting and very unique, where you remake popular songs to thread the B plot.
Yes, yeah.
So you do the B plot of the show.
I do the whole synopsis,
and it is, first and foremost, it is incredibly entertaining.
Oh, thank you.
Including the season 5 finale that you just did, which is essentially you having a mental breakdown. They're amazing. You do these great, you did one to Under Pressure.
Yeah.
You've done so many fantastic songs. How long does it take for you from start to finish to get one of those songs taken care of?
It used to take a long time. Like, it used to take like legitimately like 4 hours of work. Now I can do it pretty much in an hour. The longest time that it takes is what do you call it? Like writing the lyrics. That is something that takes a while, because I kind of want, like, I don't know, I want it to rhyme. I want it to like follow the same amount of syllables. It's like,
you don't want to shoehorn in the stories.
You don't want to shoehorn in the story. You want it to rhyme. You want it to feel like almost an intelligible synopsis of the episode, so you can actually get like, okay, so that's kind of what happens in the episode. And so that takes the longest to write the lyrics. But I've like gotten to the point now where I've like become an expert at GarageBand. So I just like, I'll download the instrumental track to a song, and then I'll like record everything in, just a few takes, and then use like the pitch correction, like auto-tune. And that really takes care of it, dude. All you have to do is Google what key is blank song in, and Google will tell you. And once you have that, you can pretty much you can sing your lyrics as you want them, and it pretty much gets them. It's pretty amazing.
Do you find that people find that to be like what's the percentage of people that are like, this is an absolute, like, this is why I come for the show, like, this is the highlight, or some people that are like, I wish you would stop doing this?
It's so hard to tell, dude, because like so like early on when I was doing it, I would do, like, I only started doing the songs like parody songs like maybe season 3 or something. Like 2 full seasons I didn't do like much music. I just kind of like with the clips a little bit, and then I did a few songs in season 3 and they went kind of well, and then a few more songs in season 4, and then every episode in season 5 I wrote a song. I wrote a like
you can't go back to that now.
I know, literally I'm stuck now forever doing it, which is why I've been trying to find a more streamlined way of doing it, but like
that's not happening.
No, it's not.
There isn't a streamlined way to do that.
No, because once you start doing a parody song, especially if it's a song that's a banger like Under Pressure, you're like, I want this to be good. I don't want this to sound like shit. So you end up putting a lot more time than you might if you say had a job, right? Like if you had like literally anything else in your life, you'd probably be like, all right, this is enough. They get it. But I like to put in a lot of time, and it's hard to tell. There are people who love it, and then there are people who will write to us and they'll be like, stop using auto-tune. It makes you sound. Someone said I sounded like too Middle Eastern when I used auto-tune, and I was just like, I don't know what that means. But
I feel like this is a person who's like really into The Sopranos, but didn't get the message of The Sopranos.
Totally. Yeah. There are a lot of people like that. I would say there's 50% of the audience, if not more.
I work in the realm of comics.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, boy, are there a lot of people that don't understand Superman.
Yeah, right.
Or Captain America.
Of course. Yeah, that's like the perfect example. Like it's blows my mind when there are like neo-fascist lovers of comic books like Superman, because you're just like, you understand who Superman was fighting, right?
Yeah. Or they're like, Superman is an immigrant,
right?
Who's fighting a businessman. Like,
exactly.
Like, written by almost exclusively liberal artists, like comic writers and art. Like, there is a 0% chance that you understood that.
Right. Yeah.
It's
created
like
by Jews a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Semi, allegorical to like old Jewish folklore, like the golem and stuff like that. And people are just like, no, I'm also in the alt-right. And you're just like, I don't think you can like both.
Yeah, keep politics out of Captain America.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I feel like you might have missed his name.
Yeah.
Or how he's dressed.
Yeah.
Or just his general existence.
I think there's, there's people who are just like allergic to subtext and people who are allergic to like allegory in general.
Dude, it's so hard. It's like, what level are you learning anything if you can't scratch the surface even the littlest bit because it makes you uncomfortable?
But I think it's because there are, and I'm not trying to be too reductive here, but like I feel like a lot of fandom is filled with like sad, lonely, stupid people.
I think, the way I put it, and I say that it's like sort of like I feel like a broken record at this point, but fandom is inherently broken.
Yeah.
Because we've allowed ourselves through social media to give everybody a loud voice.
Yeah.
Like, you used to have to write a letter.
Yeah.
Or even relatively more recently, like go on a message board.
Right.
But now social media is just like, you can make a point,
right,
and people will quote tweet it and share it, and then you get seen more. And while most people are going to dunk on you, 15 more people are going to be like, this guy has a point.
Exactly. And that's all you really need to like feel yourself. That's all you really need also to build your own little, fashy community around ABC's dinosaurs or whatever, like.
Boy, imagine not getting the point of dinosaurs.
I bet you it's happened. There are people out there who are just like burning fossil fuels, and they're just like, dinosaurs is about like a cool guitar dinosaur and his weird dad.
Nope. Jim Henson died to get the anti-capitalist message of dinosaurs out there.
Yeah. I mean,
that was his last passion project.
Was it really? Was that his last? Oh man. Yeah. That's sad. I did love that show though.
It was great. Hey, Matt.
Yeah,
Matt, I don't know if you know this. You have a Patreon, right? I think Pod Yourself
I
Gun
do.
has a Patreon.
Yeah, it's the
Frotcast,
Frotcast,
right?
The Frotcast Patreon, yeah.
I like that. And I don't know what you do on your Patreon, what the money situation is as far as like what people do. But if you go to patreon.com/Jeff May, you specifically, Matt Lieb, or any of the people that are listening to this for free, if you go to patreon.com/Jeff May, not only do you get episodes early with all the swears left in and little bonus content afterwards, but you also, if you pay $10 a month, you let me say your name in the producer tier. And Matt, we're going to do that right now. I'm going to read you some names. How do you like that? And you can comment on them. You can say whatever you want about them. You can be mean to these people. You can be kind to these people.
Sure.
You can be a creep.
Well,
you can be a creep to these people, Matt. You want to do that? Do you want to do? No, you don't want to do that?
I don't want to do that.
Well, that being said, thank you all to the $10 producer tier. I have some great producers such as Silius Ruby, who's getting married this month. Congratulations.
Hey, Silius Ruby. Congrats on getting married.
Hey, you're getting married over here.
Hey.
Steven. I don't know what his marital status is.
Hey.
Dr. DNA.
Yeah.
Burrito Mouth.
Burrito Mouth. Eat some burritos. Am I supposed to say stuff after?
You don't have every time. Well, that'll be the whole show.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. You go ahead.
Twitch.tv/Firechild460. That's a really smart way to do this.
Yeah.
Just get a free plug, the cheapest plug you can get.
Yeah, very smart.
Lisa Harden, my co-producer at Mint on Card, which we're going to be starting up hopefully in November.
Oh, hell yes.
Huey Freeman, Taurus Bulba, Mind Freak 555, Cody Beck Jr., at Gavin_not with 2 T's, Jessica Robertson, Captain Fatstrong, Grave Gorio. Oh, that's a good one.
That's really good. Grave
The
Gorio?
AV, yeah, Grave Gorio.
Wow.
That's we have the AV Foundry, Domo Arigato, Andrew Roboto,
Nice.
Grayman of the Fireside Chronicles, Ricky Cilantro, at Nerd Numbers, Mackenzie Chill, Willem Dafoe's Baffling Big Bonanza, Dan Hackroyd, Murph the Murph. Show me in the rules where it says a dog can't play basketball.
Nice.
Matt, you show me in those rules.
There's no specific clause that says Airbud can't dunk.
How great would it have been if Airbud just bit a kid?
Just technical foul. He
Just
fouls
bit
out
a
of the
kid.
game and they lose.
They have to put him down. They have to put
It's
Airbud
like the
down.
Malice at the Palace, but it's just the golden retriever just biting
Yeah.
different, the balls of anyone in Detroit.
Yeah, the Pistons would be pit bulls.
Yeah, exactly.
There would be just a bunch of pit bulls, a bunch of loose pit bulls. Let's see. We have Russell Richardson, the Sass Stan. Sophia Hapgood's Psychic Services, The Ghost of Dave Thomas. Shebrew Sleeps, Norm from Cheers. Vortispin, Normal Man Andrew McGuire, Jolly Buckaroo, Dill Havarti. That's my favorite cheese. What's your favorite cheese, Matt Lieb?
God, this is going to sound lame. I mean, I'm not like a big cheese guy. I love me some pepper jack if we're talking about normal cheese.
That's anything.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you don't have
I
to-
like pepper jack. Or I honestly extra sharp cheddar. The sharper
really?
the cheddar, the more I like it.
So it's like you like an aggressive cheddar.
I like a really aggressive cheddar. I like a cheddar that's just like, hey, I'm not fing around over here. I taste like cheese.
A borderline pungent cheddar.
Yeah, smelly smelly cheddar.
There was no wrong answer, but you somehow got that. Exploding Runes. JK, Jeff May's biggest fan. Magnolia Thunder. Flesh, your friend. Children love the meat Millie. It's a good Heathcliff reference, and I appreciate it. Where's Bane? Shout out to Ben Mendelsohn and his lisp. The sad Free Willy noise. C2E2AM Adventures. Is that a threat? No, that's a promise. An action figure of Clippy. The Bollock. Caitlin Binney. Koi Fam. Art and Mentoring. Frankly Amish. Bart Fardigan. Jennifer Fendelander. The most well-prepared dead guy. I didn't kill my wife. That's a...
What is
That's
that a
good one.
reference?
I
What
guess
is
it's from The Fugitive or this person who is just
yeah.
a fan from prison.
Yeah.
This guy's just
That
trying to
is
get
from
his
The
message
Fugitive.
out there.
Yeah.
I do it from The Fugitive, but it would be very funny if it was just like a massive convict like following on this show.
I like to do it reminds me of that movie Ransom. I like to do an impression of Mel Gibson asking for his son back. Give me back my son, Jew. All right.
That's good. I think you might have. Did you add a line or did he improv?
No,
a line?
I felt like he doesn't say Jew, but I feel like
There's always an implied
it's
subtext.
an implied. Give me back my son, Jew. Hey, Jew, give me back my son. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That tracks. When I
Tracks with him.
moved out here for the first time, my friend Laura, who I was crashing with, took me to, I believe it was Moon Shadows in Malibu.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's like, this is where Sugar Tits started. That this is where he got drunk before he went drunk driving. And
That's right.
Sexually harassed a cop.
And ruined his career, Loki.
Yeah, and yet he still does okay.
He's still
it's
doing fine.
wild.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like I have a feeling people that love like Mel Gibson films, they're not like, I can't handle anti-Semitism or racism.
Right. Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
Let's see. Adrienne Kelly Stanaway, Fashizless Jones, David Knife Boot Hinson, Funky J, Saint Gut Free, Instagrams at Bob_of_skull, Mike Gouts, Grumblebee, Cronenberger, Jeff has Clawful factoids. Clawful is a He-Man character.
Oh, okay.
He's a villain, a lobster man.
Yeah.
And I am low-key obsessed with that character. And
like Dr. Zoidberg?
Sort of like a malicious Skeletor employed Zoidberg.
Okay.
Why not kill He-Man? You know,
Boy, that's a really good impression. Wow.
Yeah. I'm it's funny. I'm friendly with Billy West, who does most of the Futurama voices. And
I know.
When he does Zoidberg, he puts the tendrils in front of his mouth.
Oh, does he?
So when he does the impression, he puts it in there.
Well, that's really that makes a lot of sense, because I've always been impressed with how it sounded like he has tendrils in front of his mouth.
It's a pro move.
Billy West is a pro.
Move, that's why he's there. Farty Marty, aka Bartholomew Martinez, these 7 Bs, Lemming Malloy, Kool-Aid Molotov, Superman Family number 184, the scene in Meet Joe Black where Brad Pitt dies.
That's a great scene.
Opinions are like holes. Jeff won't eat them.
Oh, we need to talk about that,
Matt. We absolutely do. Because
why are you afraid?
Can I be honest with you?
It's because where the poo-poo comes out.
It's where the poop is from. Yeah,
I get that.
And I have a thing about it.
Yeah,
I have a phobia of.
Yeah, but like counterpoint, you only live once.
Yeah, but like I don't mind dying without having eaten the.
I don't. Yeah, that's the difference between you and me, man.
I know you eat the butt.
I wouldn't eat the poo. I'd like to make that absolutely clear on this.
I feel like you have without.
I've never once eaten the poo. I mean, not like on purpose.
Well, you've not eaten like a full turd like it was served to you at like a diner. Yeah. But you've definitely
remnants?
gotten.
Oh, who hasn't had a little bit of poo-poo?
Yeah, you can't eat the butt and not get like, what are the fecal coliforms? Is that what it's called?
I don't like to think about those kinds of words when you're doing it. You gotta go into it like the way, I don't know, superficial fandom goes into watching The Sopranos. You gotta be in here and be like, because it's cool, and then
don't scratch the surface of eating a butt.
You gotta, yeah. You don't want to think too hard on it.
That's fair. Also, that's a great name to whoever made that producer. I feel like a bad person because I won't do it.
Wait, what?
I'm like, I have a thing about beeholes,
right,
and I'm so sorry. It's just shameful. I was
you know what?
Catholic.
Everyone's got different preferences, and I understand.
Yeah,
I would never shame anyone. It's also
like I've had somebody go after my butthole, and I was like, you probably should have asked me about this before.
Oh, you didn't let them? You stopped them?
No, I'm like, I got a thing that's not sexy to me.
Yeah,
like that's like more of an exam.
Yeah, I feel you on that. But it happens though sometimes. And the first time that I remember it happened to me, I was giggling a lot, and I was like, "This isn't turning me on, but I think it's funny." And
then you flip the script.
Yeah, and then I was like, maybe I should be more open-minded. And now I'll pretty much eat anything, dude.
Now people will be like, why can't you be more like Matt Lieb?
Exactly. That guy's,
I need to get more Caligulic.
Exactly, dude.
About it and just go for whatever I want.
Yeah. And now I like control the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
No, I understand. We also have I'm the Law, Martial Law, and I hate superheroes. Mr. Billy Beck. There were raptors in the kitchen, Phil. People died. That's a Phil Tippett reference from Jurassic Park. He was the dinosaur supervisor. He was originally the stop motion animator.
Is he the first guy who
No,
in the first
Phil Tippett was a stop motion animator and in Jurassic Park they were doing it in stop motion, and then last minute they were like, nope, here we're gonna do it in CGI. So then Phil Tippett ended up getting the job of dino supervisor instead of animator because of that whole thing. Kimball can't sleep. The clowns will eat me. Get vaccinated, you chuckleheads. The 5G lets you see sound, and then you can see your friends again. Let's go. Do you know anybody that's not vaccinated?
The only people I know who are not vaccinated are a couple of, I don't know them personally, but Francesca, my fiance, just texted me that her new hairdresser, she left her old hairdresser because she was not vaccinated and refused to get a vax. She just got a new hairdresser who ended up also being anti-vax. And so I know two of them, and they're both hairdressers, and Francesca is going to...
Did they not teach science at the Rob Roy Academy?
I guess not. I guess it's not one of the courses. And it's unfortunate, too, because it seems like something you should learn when you're...
Yeah, it's like, I work with a lot of various people in the public.
Right.
I work in a place with a revolving door where people come in and out all the time. I probably shouldn't protect myself.
Right. Yeah. I work directly with the human body, specifically the part where the viruses come out. And I'm not going to protect myself.
Have you gotten to the point with those people where you're like, you can die now? Like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
like, I've accepted.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my whole thing is, for catharsis, I'll go onto that subreddit, the Herman Cain Awards. Have you seen that?
I do. You know what's funny is I have made it a point to purposefully avoid Reddit.
Oh, well, it's good to avoid Reddit. I think in general, avoid Reddit.
I've gone my life
Yeah.
with avoiding. I think the last time I went on Reddit was because somebody said something about my old podcast when I had one of the guys from Portugal the Man on, and it was on their subreddit or something, and it was like a Google search. That was the last time. That was in like 2019.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I only go to Reddit for, videos of people dying and stuff, but like in general, I avoid it, except for the Herman Cain Awards, which is just a collection of Facebook posts from people who are like anti-vax, anti-mask, pro-Trump, spreading all the conspiracy theories and the memes and whatnot and all these boomers. And then it always ends with them getting COVID and dying. And if you die, you get the award. And it's like one of those things where you read like a couple of them and you're like, this is amazing. And then by like the fifth one, you're like, I am sad now. Because they are sharing the same memes and they're dying, and you're just like, this is the saddest, weakest way to die, you guys.
Yeah, it's the most preventable way to die. It's very much the "what are you gonna do? Stab me?" quote from the news, where it's like quote from man stabbed. Yeah, where you're like, I don't know. Like, I was actually concerned. I don't speak to my dad, but I was really concerned that he was going to be one. And it turns out he ended up getting it relatively early, I found out. So that was actually really, that removed a little bit of stress, because I felt like my dad was sort of hijacked by Fox News a while back.
Totally.
And I was really concerned about that.
No,
it turns out he didn't buy into that, which makes me feel all right.
Yeah, I'm always surprised by who has, bought into it. You really never know. There's like, the whole wellness yoga community. Like a lot of those people have all like. Have you ever watched like a recent Russell Brand video?
I'll tell you what. If there's one person I'm gonna mute on Twitter, it's gonna be Russell Brand.
Well,
That's I wish I could mute him in real life, because he's done that's like accidentally me. Like I had a really great show scheduled for Nerd Melt that got bumped because he just felt like getting a nightmare.
Yeah. No, I mean,
and I was like, what the man?
I mean, listen, there's many reasons why Russell Brand sucks, but like, I just like someone who I knew posted this like video on like Instagram, like shared it and was like, thoughts? And then I like clicked it, and it was Russell Brand talking about the vaccine and like, the media's pushing of the vaccine. And I was like, oh man, I should have expected it to be like Russell Brand to be the guy who's going to be like, I'm just questioning the narrative. Oh, I can't do his accent, but he's like,
no, that was it.
The vaccine is not good because it mixes well with the body. That's how he talks.
I love when people were my favorite one is the one that it's like that says follow the money.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, the money is that the world economy collapses if more people die.
You
Like
don't have
this
to
is
even follow it that far.
yeah, it's like before you put out that fire, follow the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big fire department
Yeah.
is making a lot of money
Yes.
in overtime to put out that fire. So I'm just saying.
I love how we lived through the entire shutdown of the global economy, and then like a vaccine comes out and people were like, follow the money, man. What are they trying to do here? And it's just like, what the are you talking about? They're trying to not shut down the global economy again. They actually don't give a shit that much if you live or die. Like they mostly give a shit about their money.
Half the population of West Virginia goes, I'm not upset about it.
Yeah.
But like we still need them to do stuff.
Yeah, right. It's like
it's become that where, I'm like, look, man, it's very much, I think we've really come to, this is the most bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
You really can't.
Moment in American history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, because I think as of like this morning, it officially became the deadliest pandemic in American history.
Yeah. We got 700,000 deaths. And I remember like, when everything, first hit, thinking to myself, like, well, nothing's going to come close to the Spanish flu because that killed like 675,000 Americans. And I'm just like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And boy, was I wrong.
Guess what?
Yeah.
That's like a whole thing, man. Yeah. Like, it's so funny. It's just one of those things where I was just like, how are you this dumb?
I've become numb to the dumb. And I expect the dumb regularly now. And so I'm like 10 steps ahead of the dumb. I'm figuring out ways that they will make something else more dumb. And like I'm trying not to be surprised by dumb anymore because it just upsets me so much. Like,
I think they've proven, like the dumb have proven themselves.
They have.
Over this past year and a half, their resilience. I mean, a lot of them are dying, but the resilience of their stupidity is impressive.
Yeah, the stubbornness of their, like the doubling down on the dumb. You're just like, wow, man, you guys are, you're about that life or death, whatever way you want to look at it.
Like the moving of the goalposts in who they choose to support and why.
Yeah.
That to me is just wild.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. Anyway, let's also thank you, Blackagar Boltagon. Thank you, Big Booty Boy, 42069. Oh, here's one that might be nice for you. Russell from Jersey. Pizza, bagels, Taylor ham. Forget about it. Forget about it. Bold and brash, more like belongs in the trash. Meth J. That's the bizarro me. Hi, I'm Super Fudge, and welcome to Fudge-a-mania. Craft beers make my alcoholism look like a neat hobby. Jezbutt is gonna be a dad. Jezbutt, congratulations on busting that hot load and making yourself a sweet, sweet baby.
Yeah, dude, you made a little baby with your
I accidentally opened this doc in my pocket and edited a name. Guess which one? Seldo. Oh, man, El Celdo. I'm going to guess that you accidentally edited Jezbutt is going to be a dad, and he's actually not going to be a dad at all.
Oh, man.
You should imagine if that's the pocket move that you did, is you accidentally ascribed being a parent to some stranger.
He wakes up and he's like, what the
Yeah. Now, the good part about that, too, is I know a lot of these people are also crossover listeners and fans of yours, which
hell
is
yeah.
very, very fun. Frotcast and Pod Yourself a Gun. Frotcast I've done a couple of times. It's a blast. It's a real fun. You and Vince have a great dynamic.
Well, we love to talk to each other.
How did you guys meet?
We met in San Francisco doing stand-up comedy at like an open mic or something. And we were both just starting out in stand-up, and he invited me onto the Frotcast. At that point, he had been doing it already for like a year and change. And then, he started inviting me on more and more, and then one thing led to another, and I just became like, hey, every week I go over to his house and talk to, him and my new best friends, and And he stopped doing stand-up eventually because he was like, this is a horrible, sad world, and I don't know why anyone would do this. And I was like, well, you just got to be committed. And so I continued to do it while he has had a life. So, yeah.
Yeah. He just had a child, right?
He just had a child. He got married, found just the loveliest, nicest woman in the world, moved back to his hometown, and is now raising a family.
And still works in entertainment.
He does. He's still the senior culture critic over at UpRocks, and the founder of FilmDrunk.com. He still writes movie reviews. He's a film critic, and he still podcasts. So, he's kind of doing all the things. Whereas
it's shifted.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, he just doesn't do stand-up, but he does all of he does everything.
I came out here for stand-up.
Well, that was smart.
And I get further. Yeah, right. The stupidest thing.
Me too.
It was but I didn't know. Like,
no one
I wasn't smart enough to research how much money you don't make doing stand-up when you start. So let me tell you, I ate for a while before I could professionally exist.
Right. Of course.
By working in entertainment. It's been a while. Like there was a lot of Uber rides given.
Yeah. A lot of dues paid.
That. Yes. To the point where where it's still like I'm a professional, but I'm still making less than I did as a teacher.
Oh yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things. How did you guys come up with the idea for Pod Yourself a Gun? Is this an offshoot of Frotcast?
It is.
Where you guys were talking and doing bits about The Sopranos, and you're like, we should just do a Sopranos podcast.
It was kind of just an offshoot. It was like it was just a side project where we're just like we love The Sopranos, and we both were like, oh, I'd love to rewatch it. And Vince was the one who said, let's do a podcast where we like rewatch The Sopranos. And I think I told him, at the time I was just like, oh man, that's a lot of podcasting. Like that's like a regular episode of the Frotcast plus a bonus episode for the Patreon, and then a third podcast on top of that. And he was like, yeah, whatever, it'll be fine. Vince likes to like go ahead with something before like thinking it out. And then what ended up happening is we, first did like a couple, it was like one a month for like the first 3 months. Like we didn't do that many, and then eventually I was like, I just want to see if we can get some consistency, to see what happens. Yeah. And then I just, after a while, I was like, actually, I'm having a lot of fun actually putting effort into this podcast, mostly because like the Frotcast is fun because we get to like just press record and just start talking. Like Vince has like some articles he wants to talk about. Yeah. And we just put it out there. We just cut the ends off, where we say, okay, we're recording. And like, okay, done recording. And then we just throw it out there. I was like, I want to see what we can accomplish with like a Sopranos rewatch. And then as we kind of like got into, I don't even know, like the second season or something like that, the lockdown started happening. And I was like, this is kind of the perfect time to do a Sopranos podcast. Everyone's going to be stuck inside. So let's just, let's do a consistent schedule. Let's not miss any days. And, we'll take a little break in between seasons and stuff. And, let's make this as professional as possible.
Emotionally, it seems like it's worth it. Has it financially been worth it yet? Or has it been a situation where you got more patrons?
Yeah, I mean,
has it brought people in? Because it seems to be quite, popular.
Yeah, I mean,
it's niche, but it's popular for its niche.
It's niche, but it's popular for its niche. Yeah, exactly. For me, it's been more than worth it, mostly because I like to be busy, and I like to I don't know how to put this without sounding like a douchebag. I like working. I like making creative things. I like putting out content.
Wait, do you think it was going to sound like you're a douchebag by you saying that you like to create?
Yes. You know what I mean? Like, it's like me saying, like,
what are you carrying with you that you feel like that's
mostly shame, lots of shame, shame for wanting, shame for striving,
Yeah.
For
I
me,
try to make my life better, and boy, do I hate it.
yeah, I mean, I just, I don't want to be looked at as someone who's like, like an artist. Yeah, I'm not trying to say I'm an artist. I'm saying I like making funny songs. I like watching funny shows about titties and meat. And I was like, let's do this right. Let's work hard on this and make it like listenable. Because I feel like with the Frotcast, the biggest problem has always been like an entry point. Because like we'll talk about a movie, on the Frotcast. But we come with so much backstory and inside jokes and so many references to other things that I feel like it's hard to get new people to understand what we're doing, to understand the dynamic between the two of us. And so for me, I felt like Pod Yourself a Gun was a good way to get like the entry point is The Sopranos. If you watch The Sopranos and you want something like a companion show to it, you can listen to Pod Yourself a Gun. And it's also a good entry point into like Vince and I's dynamic, into some of our inside jokes and stuff like that. And yeah, in the end, so far, the people have like taken to it. They like the show. They like, we've gained some more listeners. We've gained some more patrons, which is really nice because I don't have a full-time job right now, so I'm like, right. I need the patrons. And Vince has a baby, so he's got I mean, he also has a job.
He has a job.
True, but I mean, still, he's got a baby. He needs more patrons.
Babies require sustenance.
They do. You got to feed those babies.
Yeah.
And the
so
only way to feed the baby.
Review Pod Yourself a Gun in the Frotcast wherever you listen to your podcasts, by the way.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm plugging you not at the end of the episode, but during the episode.
I like that. That's very nice of you.
And do that for this show. And also Tom and Jeff watch Batman and Unpops, and you don't even like sports. Like I do. I like people ask me what I am, and I have to say professional podcaster.
I know.
And it's almost like there's like a mild shame to it.
I know.
They're like,
what
of
is
course,
that?
white guy. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry that your podcasts aren't good.
Yeah. I don't know what it is though, but I feel the same way. I think like
it's because it's new media.
It is.
It would be like having to, like, if you were an influencer but you had shame, and you would have to tell people that you're an influencer, you'd be a little embarrassed,
right? Yeah, it's true. I just I feel like any job that I have that's not like, oh, I am this important position at this important entertainment industry institution, I have shame.
we're conditioned, I think, to think that if we enjoy the stuff that we do as well, like this is just you and me talking. This is something that, this is something that we've done before, not on a camera. But it is also exhausting that when you're going to embark on a new endeavor, like, for example, rewatching The Sopranos, that because of the mindset that we have to exist in, you're like, can I monetize this?
Right.
Like, how do I do this? Like, how many couples tried to start podcasts during the pandemic because they're like, well, we're stuck here together. Like, let's do something.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating in a way. To do that.
I mean, that's why me and Francesca, we both have our own separate podcast worlds, and it's wonderful because we will just guest on each other's things. But
because she does the Bitchuation Room.
She does the Bitchuation Room. I do the Frotcast and Pod Yourself a Gun. She does. She guests on like some the Young Turk shows, like the Damage Report and stuff like that, and I go on Jeff Has Cool Friends and my friend's podcast. And
basically the same thing.
Exactly. Exact same thing.
I have a question for you about that, and this is one of those ones where I ask for that level of honesty. Is there do you ever feel like a tinge of jealousy sometimes when like something really, and even though it's a person that you love, you're still a human, you're a human being. You have this wonderful, very talented fiance that is visible in a realm that you're not necessarily visible in because she's very politically active. Right. And while you certainly are a man of a political mind, like,
I don't make political content, or at least it's not unless Francesca and I are working on the AJ Plus show. Outside of that, I do no political. I talk about politics on my podcast, but they are ostensibly movie and TV podcast.
Yeah, well, and it's like you're making dick jokes about the next Hemsworth movie, or
Right,
something.
exactly,
Like it's not the
exactly.
same.
Yeah.
Do you get like any sort of jealousy for that success? And I'm not saying like a
No,
deep-seated resentment.
No,
but you're
no,
like,
I know
you're like,
exactly
"Oh, fuck,
what
that
you
looks
mean.
cool.
I know exactly what you mean. I would say yes and no. It's a complicated answer, mostly because like I don't feel jealous. I started dating Francesca when she was already a thing. Like this is my I think my advice to anyone out there, man or woman. Well, maybe man. I can only speak for men. If you're gonna date a comedian, date one who is already doing miles better than you, because then you go into it knowing that like they're doing better. Like there's no there. I think like I would feel jealousy if or I would maybe like I don't know feel more jealousy if I thought I was a big shot, and was like, oh yeah, I'm very important. I'm doing very important things. I'm making these podcasts. And then Francesca's career ballooned to the position it was. And I'd be like, what about me? I used to be the king, Yeah. Like that, I think would change the dynamic. And that I could see that, creating like a, I don't know, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel type jealousy between, I don't know if you watched that show where it was like,
don't. No, it's a
it's,
woman. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So it's like, this guy is like a shitty stand-up comedian and he's married to, Maisel.
Yeah.
And
well, I get that. I know the premise of it. And
and then
achieves
Maisel
massive
becomes a stand-up
success very
comedian
fast,
and just kills it. And it's like, and he's in this position like, this was my thing. And, and you're better than me. And he has to like deal with those feelings of jealousy. For me, it's like, no, you date an already famous Maisel and then you don't. And then you just feel
you just ride those waves.
You ride those waves and you go, hey man, this is cool. Like for me, the only time that I truly get like jealous is when there's like something really cool that I'm like, oh man, I want that. Like if she has like a meeting with I don't know, some big shot that I'm just like, oh, that would be so like, hey, while you're meeting with him, you should pitch this one thing that I think is really good. I mean, you could say it's yours, but like that's the only time where I find myself getting jealous is like when I'm like, man, because I don't have representation anymore. Me and my manager broke up like a couple years back, and so I'm like, without representation, I haven't done like any formal meeting stuff. And so like there's part of me that's just like, oh man. And anytime she's like, oh, I have to go to, this, lot to do a general, I'm just like, well, cool. I mean, have fun with that. But that's like, that's my honest answer. My honest answer is, of course, like I will get jealous of like these like stupid little career things. But in general, she's always been like, I dated her as someone who was already getting millions of views on like Facebook and like had a huge Twitter following and stuff like that. So it's made my life easier in terms of just kind of been like, I'm just like surprised every day that she still likes me. I'm like, really, me? All right.
It was so funny when because I think I knew that you guys were dating. It was at like I think it was at Atsuko's New Year's party or something like that.
Yeah.
And I saw you guys together and I was like, I know that woman.
Yeah.
I was like, I know her. Good
Right.
for him. I got jealous when Val got Conan.
Oh, sure.
Like not so much in an, like, it was more of like a, well, what have you been doing with your time?
Totally.
Jealousy where I'm like internalizing like why I'm a failure for not
Totally.
like I want to take the thing away from what you have. But
No,
I was
no.
like, but then it took me a little bit to be like, dude, you've been setting yourself up as an indie comedian this whole time. Like I've not set myself up in a position to be a club comic, to have representation. I've always been a direct to the people person, and those people don't always make it onto late night. They don't have a team behind them the way other people do. And I had to snap myself out of it and be like, dude, you're doing great,
Right.
doing your own thing. Like you don't have to be the club comic. You can be that, to put it in for lack of a better term, like cult.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing well in a very culty way.
Right. I mean, it's about like what you're building towards, and being honest to yourself about what your career goals and your standard for yourself is, and not looking, because I'll get jealous of people who are going after things that I'm not, that I'm not even going after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone.
Really? Yeah.
I'll find myself just being like, someone is, I don't know, they're like doing the. I'm trying to think of an example, but it's like I don't know, they're doing a food show or something. Like, I don't care about like food shows or whatever, but I'll just be like, oh, well, good for you. And then I'll be like, why am I mad at this? I'm not even trying for this, which is why I use the mute button a lot.
One of the things that I make the mistake of doing, or at least that I did make the mistake of doing, was expecting that just my talent would be enough.
Oh, yeah.
When you come out, especially to Los Angeles, that if you're talented, you can be humble and not try to put yourself out there and people will find you. And that's just not the case.
No, you have to that is true. You really do have to be out there.
You have to, and in a way, it's almost like you have to be shameless about it.
Totally.
You have to not have the shame of being humble.
Yeah.
If you think you're good for something, you have to put yourself out there.
You have to ask.
That is in direct violation of how I was raised.
Totally. Yes. 100%.
And as a matter of fact, but not in a violation of how I acted as a child, but how I was sort of corrected by a lot of the adults in my life, because it was annoying as a child.
Oh, yeah.
So now, like, there's definitely a lot of me feeling like I have a lot to prove. Even though, like I know I'm smart, I know I'm good at certain things, and yet still I'm like, but I want America to know that I'm smart. And that's just like, but I won't do I won't try to get booked on shows that I see other people are on, because I'm like, well, maybe they'll just see me be good at this.
Yeah, I know.
And they'll be like, we gotta have him on. We need this white guy.
Yeah. It is like one of the hardest things to square when you are, because I think I was raised kind of the same way, just like as someone who felt a lot of shame for asking for stuff, and so
rightfully
like
so, yeah.
It just doesn't feel good to ask. Like, writing a booking email feels like it just feels awful. And for some people, there's a lot of people who just they don't have that. They can go up to someone and directly ask for something that they want within the first sentence.
And I think we know a lot of those people in LA, those comedians that are shameless,
great.
And they do great.
They do great.
They get the opening gigs. They get the feature gigs for the touring comedians because they ask.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, and then some, I'll be friends with famous comics, and I'm just like, you've seen me be pretty good.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
right?
You're not gonna ask? No, you're gonna take this guy. I know I'm better than this guy.
Yeah, right.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's the same thing with me. And like Francesca has told me, a few times now, like, we have friends who have like managers who these friends like you should ask them about their managers. And I'm just like, nah, I don't want to bother, because like the idea of asking someone for, I don't know, something like that, it feels it just feels strange to me, but it's something you really do have to get over. And this is why I don't fault shameless people, because like interpersonally, shameless people can be kind of like not the most fun people to be around, but like career wise, you look at them and you go like, hey, they're doing the thing that I refuse to do, and
they're paying their bills and supporting their families sometimes.
Yeah, and I've started to become more and more, or less and less, like shameful, more shameless, a little bit more shameless. I am starting to like ask people for stuff and whatnot. I mean, it just you do. It's a skill that you have to learn. I just hate schmoozing. That's the one thing I will avoid completely. Is like I wanna have like honest interactions with people where I'm asking for stuff. I just can't. I can't push myself to do it. So if I'm gonna ask for something, it's gonna be like, like a DM or whatnot. Yeah. But I just cannot go to a party and be like, oh, there's the guy who fucking books Conan, and just go up to him and go, hey, I'm a comic who, because I don't think they'd like it. Honestly, I think they'd be like, oh, please don't. I'm at a party,
Yeah, don't do this.
Yeah.
I've learned that in social situations to never try to network and just let the interaction speak for themselves. I remember one time I had a person, and it wasn't at all shameless. It was somebody that contacted me directly and said, hey, I'm in town. I would love to do this show. I've heard good things. And it was early during the Mint on Card days where we had just started or whatever. And finally, I was like, I don't know this guy very well, but we'll put him on. Yeah, like it. Like he's in town, whatever. And that was Brett Goldstein, who just won the Emmy for Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And we ended up becoming like kind of like buds and everything like that. But now I'm just like, remember when I put you on my comic book store show? Why don't you come on to my podcast? What do you say do that?
What's so funny is so I don't know why this is, but Brett Goldstein and I follow each other on Twitter. And I don't know how to do like Twitter advanced search.
Did you do the show together? You might have. You might have done Mint on Card together. That like there's a small chance that I don't know which show he was on. I think I
would have remembered like a British guy. I feel like I have like a good memory bank for British guys. And because every time I see a British guy, I'm just like, oh, look, it's your man from Britain.
Yeah, they love that.
They love that. And so, like, we totally would have had that interaction.
They love it. In it.
Yeah. Oh, friends.
Oh, in it.
Anyways, but, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was Mint on Card. I don't know. All I know is, like, we started following each other on Twitter. And then he won the Emmy. I started watching him on Ted Lasso. I only saw the first couple of episodes, but I was like, oh, this seems like a fun show, and he seems great. And then I tweeted at him after he won. I was like, me and Brett Goldstein have been following each other on Twitter for since before Ted Lasso. And as his best friend in the world, I want to say, watch out for all those fake friends in Hollywood. Just congratulations to you, and watch out for fake people out there. Unlike me, who your best Twitter friend from before you were famous.
And then he blocked you.
And then I just kind of sat and waited for like a fave or something, and it didn't happen. And I was just like, oh man, he's gone Hollywood on me. I don't know if we've ever talked in real life. I literally don't know how we both.
Here's what I'll tell you. What? Imagine what his notifications were like after he won an Emmy, and then don't take it personally.
No, it's too late, dude. I've taken it personally, and I'm going to spend the rest of my time trying to destroy him.
The best sort of interpretation of a situation like that I ever received was from John Gourley of Portugal the Man, and he said, if you text me and I don't text you back, I get buried. I get hundreds of messages every day.
Yeah.
He's like, it's never because I don't want to talk. It's because I just never saw it. Try again. It's very much like just try. It's like not having an answering machine in the 90s.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, we'll just try later because I don't have the ability to deal with that right now. And and that was actually a really nice way of understanding when somebody is at a certain level where literally dozens of jobs rely on this person and all that they're just like, hey man, I get buried in and I can't look at my phone all the time.
I mean, I think in general for me, one of the things that has really helped me, because I totally feel that in sort of a different way. Back when I used to use a lot of drugs, before I got clean, one of my main problems was always assuming people, I would just cop resentments on people for not giving a enough about what's going on with me in my life. And I had this chip on my shoulder, assuming that either people didn't like me or, were actively ignoring me. And then it wasn't until I got into recovery that I was like, realized that people have their own lives.
Yeah.
And are busy worrying about their own and do not have the emotional capacity to like be at your beck and call. And it was one of the biggest, it's a weird realization, or it's a weird, like, I don't know, moment of clarity to have, because it seems maybe obvious to some people. But for me, it was just like this huge thing where I was just like, oh, people aren't thinking about me at all hours of the day. Why would I expect them to drop everything that they're doing to pick me up, high as
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say, the other part is, especially when you are an addict, because there adds extra layers to that. And actually, as a matter of fact, we are going to talk more about that over on the Patreon. We're going to do some bonus content over that. As far as the free episode goes, Matt, I am so excited that I got to have you on. Thank you so much. Tell the listeners where we can find you. I mean, I could tell you, but
I'll tell them. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieb, Instagram at Matt Lieb Jokes.
It's Lieb. So it's MATTLIEB, one word on Twitter, and Matt Lieb Jokes, one word on Instagram.
Exactly. And then also, if you like The Sopranos, even if you don't like The Sopranos, listen to Pod Yourself a Gun. It is a podcast about The Sopranos, but also about other stuff. But mostly it's about The Sopranos. And then there's the Film Drunk Fraudcast that I do with my co-host from Pod Yourself a Gun, where we talk about like movies and TV and other. We talk about a bunch of stuff on that. That one's a lot more chill, a lot more fun, a lot more loose. So check that out.
I like that one's more loose than Pod Yourself a Gun. Where you're like, it's a lot more. It doesn't take itself seriously, like the Sopranos comedy podcast we do, where I redo pop music.
I mean, honestly, it's like the amount of structure that we do on that show doesn't seem like much unless you compare it to the Frogcast, in which we press record and we're just like, let's eat butts. Oh, we watched a new Alien movie. You
know what's funny is Tom Ryman and I, with Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, tried to do like a much more rules-based version of it, and we were just like, this is less fun. It wasn't as flowy, so we ended up finding our stuff. Speaking of which, if you want to listen to Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, we do have a couple of free episodes out there, but you can also check out the Patreon at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's Gamefully Unemployed, GAMEFULLY. You can check that out. Those are weekly episodes. You can also check out You Don't Even Like Sports, a sports podcast for people who don't like sports, and Unpopular Opinion, both on the Unpops Network. And you can also check out patreon.com/Jeff May. If you're already a patron, thank you. I have new Patreon exclusive shows coming to you, more podcasts coming. I got a monthly show coming up with Kim Crawl that a lot of people have been harassing me to do, so I'm doing it. I've got Radvertising coming out. That's a miniseries based entirely on 90s youth-based advertising, and that's going to come your way hopefully mid-fall. So that's fun. But Matt, thank you so much. It was so great. And then for those of you that are patrons, stick around because we've got more coming. Hey everyone, our artwork is created by Justin T. Brown, who can be found at Artness by Justin Brown on Instagram, as well as artnessbyjustinbrown.com. That dope music you heard is by Troy Nababon, available at Troy Nababon on Instagram, as well as at troynababon.com. Nababon is spelled Nababan.